Hey guys, over the last couple of years, I've had loads of people ask me how they can support the show, and now you can. So if you like this show and you want to support it and you want to keep it free, head on over to everyonelovesguitar.com/support. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/support. Thanks for all you do. If you're a business owner and you want to increase your cash flow, or if you're a label or artist and you want to promote new music, then listen up. For information about advertising on Everyone Loves Guitar, including information on geographically targeted ads, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise. Hey guys, I got to tell you a quick story. I recently put in a pair of EMG pickups into my Les Paul Classic, and tinkering with electronics, wires, not my bag. That being said, a little over an hour later, I'd installed the pickups with literally no problems at all. And the quality of the sound is absolutely amazing. I put in the retroactive Fat 55s. That's a new set that they have, and that's because I wanted a vintage, British Brown sound. And these Fat 55s are modeled after the tone of the classic PAFs, which is exactly what I got. The thing I wasn't expecting is it sort of feels like my volume and tone knobs have been expanded to 20. There's like a lot more responsiveness in the volume and tone, and I could even get harmonics now at low volumes on the neck pickup, and any preconceived notions I had about installation being difficult or, there's a problem having a battery in there were totally wrong. The battery thing, it's like putting a battery in one of my kids' toys when they were little children growing up. It's just a total non-issue. And in fact, I'm going to wind up getting the Strat set next because installation for that is even easier because it comes with the pick guard and the pickup's already attached to the pick guard. And if you want to check out EMGs for yourself, now's actually a great time to do this because Rob and Allison are making a special offer available for listeners of this show only. And here it is. For a limited time, head on over to emgpickups.com, buy one or more sets of pickups, and enter ELG in the discount code section of the shopping cart. ELG, of course, for Everyone Loves Guitar. And they're going to give you 15% off, which is huge. The biggest discounts they ever give is 10%. Plus, they're going to give away $70 worth of free bonuses, including an EMG cinch bag, a pick tin, lanyard, stickers, and a t-shirt. Plus, you get a money-back guarantee if you're not 100% satisfied. Plus, not a 2-year performance guarantee on the performance of the actual pickups themselves, but a lifetime performance guarantee. And on top of everything else, you're going to get free shipping. So there's basically no risk at all here for you to try a set or two of EMG pickups. And the great thing about these pickups is, and I got 2 sets, once you install them, and by the way, there's no soldering involved at all, because I couldn't have done it if there was, quite frankly. But once you do install them, all you need to do to swap them out and put another set in is literally disconnect one wire on each pickup, and then you're done. That's it. It's kind of like putting Legos together. It's that easy. So go to emgpickups.com, enter ELG in the shopping cart for your discount code, and that's it. You get to take advantage of this offer right now. Man, this one's always a big challenge. If you want to buy or sell a home or investment property and you're here in the Tampa Bay area, in Hillsborough, Pinellas, or Pasco counties, then listen up. West Florida Real Estate is a local residential real estate broker that's helped over 250 Bay Area homeowners buy and sell their properties in the last 4 years alone. If you're looking to sell, you'll want to get their free report, The 7 Biggest Mistakes Homeowners Make When Hiring a Realtor. And if you're looking to buy a property, you definitely want to get your hands on the 21 Most Expensive Mistakes Tampa Home Buyers Make When Buying a Home. Each one of these reports is going to save you time and money. Inside, you'll discover the 7 most important things to consider when hiring a realtor, what to do if you're buying and selling a home at the same time, and the danger of choosing a realtor who agrees with everything you say. To get your hands on these free reports, head on over to westfloridarealestate.com. That's westfloridarealestate.com. Hey everybody, it's Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, and we have my the guest with my all-time favorite first name, with the wonderful, really experienced, great guitar player Yogi Lonich. And before we get started, let's say Walter Eno, thanks for connecting us. So let me tell you about Yogi. He's former Buckcherry, Wallflowers, and Fuel member. He's born in California and raised there. He's shared the stage and or recorded with an impressive list of artists, including Chris Cornell, Melissa Etheridge, Yusuf Islam, which is also obviously Cat Stevens, Alanis Morissette, Shakira, DJ Zed, Richard Marx, Mickey Dolenz, Koshi Inaba, who's B's vocalist, B''Z. They're a huge band in Japan. I've met a lot of people who work with them. Kid Rock, Natasha Bedingfield, Nika Costa, Anastasia, Five for Fighting, Bonnie Raitt, Booker T. Jones, Meredith Brooks, as well as Chinese superstars. Oh, please don't let me mess this up. Li Hom Wang. Did I get that? Yeah, and Jason Zhang. Thank you. He was also honored to play with Jimi Hendrix's own Mitch Mitchell and Billy Cox at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opening of the Jimi Hendrix exhibit. He's toured in support of rock icons of Rolling Stones, Robert Plant, Aerosmith, AC/DC, Kiss, Lenny Kravitz, Linkin Park, and Korn. Away from the world of touring, filming, and traveling, he's been awarded a prestigious Grammy nomination for the Best Hard Rock Band and a Kerrang Award. Dude, I used to read Kerrang when I was like 17. That was like such a cool magazine to get. A British, it was kind of like metal slanted magazine, if I remember right. Yeah. For Best Hard Rock Performance with Buckcherry. And he also has 2 solo records, and he's getting ready to release another one later this year, an EP later this year. His first LP, Meta, won him the Los Angeles Music Awards Best Independent Pop Artist. Songs from his second record, which is an acoustic album called Hesitant Poet, have been featured in numerous TV and film productions. Currently, Yogi's writing and recording with Croatian hip-hop star Edo Mika, Chinese pop stars Jeff Chang and Jason Zhang, the Dead Daisies, and he's also playing his own quartet shows around the world. Yogi, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Happy to be here.
Hey, so you've worked with like tons of A-list artists and bands. I was curious what your first gig was, and what was the one that kind of started the trajectory of you working in, on that level?
So my first gig ever, or just the first gig, leading the first bigger gig?
Yeah, the first gig that kind of started your path down, this sort of like A-list.
I was performing with, basically got a call for an audition from Barry Squire, who I'm sure you've heard the name
a million times. I've tried to get him on the show just because he got to have a million stories, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
couldn't do it.
He's been in my corner for a lot of years, and he's a great guy. But yeah, so the audition was for Meredith Brooks, and that was in '96. It was basically the "I'm a Bitch" song, and that was my first international touring situation. Basically I got a record contract like a couple years prior to that, doing my own thing. I had a hip hop acid jazz band called Sound Assembly.
Oh, that's cool.
With a partner called Blake, and it was like that mid '90s kind of hip hop jazz kind of mixture thing. It was totally congruent with what I was working on in music school, like jazz and funk and all that kind of stuff. So we visited the Music Union, and we were asking, I think the vice president was Alfred Rubalcava at the time. I don't know if he still is, but we were wondering if we should join the union. And, we were just green in the music business, and we just got this little independent record contract. So we gave them our album, and they were like, well, unless you're doing 12 union dates a year, there's no reason to join the union. So we left the album, and I had played a lot of instruments on the album, like drums, bass, guitar, and keyboards and different stuff like that, along with other guys. But it was a good showcase for my music abilities. And so then coincidentally, like a week later, Barry Squire, who I didn't know at the time, he called the union, and he's like, there's a new artist named Alanis Morissette, who this is kind of like, this was his very first audition that he conducted. So this was like
Alanis was Barry's first audition.
Yeah. And
she's been through loads of guitar players, because I've had probably 4 guys on this show that have played with her at least.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's yeah. So back in the day, that was probably like 90, at least 95 or 90, something like that, 94, 95. What his first audition with Alanis for the Jagged Little Pill, like it was before the album even came out. But Barry Squire called the union. Is like, I want to put a band together, and I'm looking for young guys and great players. And my name, and then he says, well, coincidentally, we just met a couple young guys that came in here. Here's one guy named Yogi Lonich, and da 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 da. So anyway, so this was actually my first audition that I got to do. And then he called me and we established a relationship. I went in very green, I brought in my roommate, Chris Cheney, who's a great bass player. And he's, and this drummer, David Libman, who I was also jamming with. And both are really top players. And I went in and I kind of like didn't really know the audition process. I think I came in with charts or something. It was totally not like the right vibe at all. But I didn't get the gig, needless to say. But but I came in very prepared, played well.
Right.
I mean, these gigs are mostly auditions are basically all about vibe, and because everybody who goes in more or less plays great. You wouldn't be at the audition if you can't like play those 3 chords, So, but it's usually like, what's your vibe, all that kind of stuff. But Chris got the gig, I didn't, David didn't, and but it was cool because Barry Squire got to see me play, and he called me for a few more auditions, and then finally I went in for Meredith Brooks, which was great because she was already, she had like top 10 hit on the radio, and it was exciting for me. And
that song was huge.
Yeah, it was great. And so I went in, I auditioned, and I remember, like I was saying, it's all about vibe. Like,
yeah.
She basically asked me after she heard me play and jammed, she asked me, "What's your sign?" And I said,
was she picking you up or trying to? Yeah.
No, she said, "What's your sign?" I say, "I'm a Virgo," and she's like, "My brother's a Virgo. We're gonna get along great." And that was basically it. So it's like, it's kind of that situation where like when you click with an artist, and it has, because people don't realize that it's, the music is about 10% of it, and the rest is like hanging on the bus, and do you guys get along, and is there a good vibe, and if people like you, then that counts for a lot more than some virtuoso who's sort of an asshole.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Meredith Brooks gig, that was my first introduction to that, and basically kind of started my whole professional touring career.
How long were you touring with her?
It was basically one record cycle, which was
a year and a half,
15 months.
Yeah.
So it was pretty long. Yeah, it was great. It was like a really good start, to touring. And then, of course, she just went into the studio, and most artists kind of take a 6-month break or year break at that point.
Yeah.
And then kind of start the whole process. By the time she was ready to tour again, I was already in another band, and that kind of how it goes a lot.
Yeah, all the time, usually.
But yeah, so it was Meredith. She was great. We co-wrote a little bit of music, and she was pretty awesome.
Very cool, man. Thank you. So I'm going to mention some of the other artists you've worked with. If you could talk about how you got the gig and a cool or interesting story about working with them. Let's start with Buckcherry.
Buckcherry. Okay, so that was after Meredith Brooks.
Okay.
So yeah, basically Barry Squire called me.
Holy shit! I've got to get a hold of this dude.
I know.
Is he the kind of guy who would talk? Would he come on this show?
I think he would, because he does. He teaches. He has a UCLA music business class, or at least he used to, and he would do talks on music business, and he's very eloquent. So I mean, I could hook you guys up.
Yeah, that'd be great, because I'd love to have him. Yeah, I emailed him cold, I think. All righty, Buckcherry.
But yeah, basically Buckcherry was an audition. kind of a cattle call. I think there was like a good 75 guys that came out to audition.
Wow.
And
yeah, that's a cattle call.
Yeah, it was good. They were 4-piece, and they were just looking for that sort of lead guitar position to be filled. And yeah, I kind of was, one of my main influences was Angus Young and a lot of like blues and rock and Paul Kossoff and that kind of stuff. And I noticed, and their record had a lot of that AC/DC, Aerosmith, Black Crowes-y kind of influence. So for me, it was pretty much like exactly in my wheelhouse. So I was able to basically crush that audition. but
how long did you tour with them?
Well, we did I was a hired gun for the first record cycle, which was Buckcherry self-titled album. Then I joined the DreamWorks contract.
That was a great record. I love that record. That was on with Check Your Head, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It was called.
I don't think.
The second record was called Time Bomb. Yeah,
okay.
It was like. But yeah, there was like a couple singles like Check Your Head, Right In.
Yeah.
And something else I don't really remember. But yeah, so that was good. Then I sort of became band member, co-wrote the second album, and pretty much like by the end of that second cycle, we kind of it was time to move on from that project. So
any cool rock and roll stories? Now you're like totally. I just interviewed Buckcherry's bass player, funny enough, like a week or two ago, Kelly Lemieux, who's a great guy, and you are not you don't have tattoos crawling out of your shirt or anything.
Totally. I was the only guy in the band without tattoos, but I was, and I kind of felt silly because they were pretty much fully tatted, and what was I going to do? Get one little spider web on my neck or something, and like you just
yeah. If that's not who you are, you just shouldn't do it anyway. Yeah, I don't have any tattoos. I'm the only person I know. I don't have any tattoos at all. My kids are always giving me shit because I have older sons and they have tattoos.
I do think they're pretty sexy. They're cool, but just never really got around to it.
No. Cat Stevens, man, what a talented. Just incredibly talented songwriter. How'd you get hooked up with him, and what were you doing there?
That came from a different guy. That came from a friend of mine. He's a manager. He used to manage the Eagles and manages Joe Walsh and Dickie Betts. His name is David Spiro. And I met him. I guess I met him during the Buckcherry days or whatever. So like late 90s. And he was like sort of a big cat at Cleveland, Ohio, and he managed the artists that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And he was managing Cat Stevens. Yusuf Islam is his name, but and yeah, so he basically was putting together or helping put together this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, and it was all these ripping guitar players like Eric Gales and Vernon Reid, and just just a lot of hot shit dudes, and he asked me if I wanted to be one of the artists, like performing a few songs, and so I was able to bring in a couple of background cats, like a drummer and a bass player, and they flew us out and we performed like a few songs, like Little Wing, not Little Wing, Castles Made of Sand, Let the Good Times Roll, and one other jam.
So that's what you did with Buddy Miles and Billy Bob.
Well, that was like I did my own little set, and then it was like an all-star jam where a few guitarists and that rhythm section sort of all ripped it up.
That's cool, man.
On some blues at the end, and it was it was pretty nuts sounding, a lot of guitars, but yeah, like playing with Mitchell and I've always been such a fan of that. Particular lineup, with Mitch Mitchell, and I thought that was pretty cool. He just was such a wild drummer, but yeah, he's not here anymore.
Yeah, man. What did you play? What did you play? Some old Cat Stevens songs, or?
No, we made a new record at the time. It was a record called Road Singer. And so we basically, he wrote songs and we sat there and just basically, yeah. Oh, wait, so, yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, but Cat Stevens, that's how I met. Sorry, we're going to the Cat Stevens thing. But that covers the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. So, so the Cat Stevens thing came from David Spiro. Like, it was like some years after that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame experience. He just called me and said that Yusuf is recording an album at House of Blues Studios in LA at this date, and am I available? So I was like, sure am. And I happened to be off tour and worked out. And it was a really cool experience. It was old school, like recording to tape, no click, 4 guys actually in a
room
studio
together.
Like, yeah, he's playing acoustic guitar with a mic on it. I was playing acoustic guitar with a mic on it. He was singing live as well. And there was a small drum set and a bass player with a P bass, and we just basically recorded these songs. And yeah, like no click, just Yusuf just kind of start the song and we back him. Of course we rehearsed each song a few times, but it was very organic and candlelit room, and like I said, no click track, which was awesome.
Bong all fired up.
Yeah, just
What did he sing any of his old songs, man? His voice is so like iconic. Those songs,
Well, he still has. Well, at the time, that was a while back, but he still had that same voice.
Yeah, that's so
it was. Cool. We didn't play any of those songs. We just worked on that new material at the time. So it was pretty fun. Yeah,
that's great, man. Talk about Chris Cornell. How'd that come up?
Yeah, Chris, man, he's awesome. I think that was definitely my favorite gig, and it was a pretty long run. It was a few years, like 06 to 09.
You know what, man? I bet you I saw you here in. He was played here in Tampa, but I think he was with. It was 3 sets. It was like, he was with Audio Slave then. I think he came out and did an acoustic set, then I don't know what the order was. Audio Slave played, and then I think he did an electric set. Were you with him in Tampa here when he did that?
I mean, we played in Tampa, but I don't know what year you're referring to.
Well, it had to be that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he usually would do like a mixture of all sorts of music. So we would do songs from Soundgarden, from Audio Slave, from Temple of the Dog, from his solo albums, Euphoria Morning.
Yes, great record.
And Carry On. Yeah, and then he would also do like 3 or 4 songs solo acoustic. Then he'd bring the band back. So, but yeah, if it was during that period, that was definitely us.
That's cool.
And he was a great guy. He was thoughtful, and he would sit and talk with us. And sometimes we would just chit chat at rehearsal, the whole band and him, for like an hour. Like, he wasn't super nutty about like, just like, he wasn't like a slave driver type of cat. But yeah, he would get into telling stories, and he was a sweetheart, just super intense. I remember when I did the audition for that gig, it was just stage floor monitors, no in-ears, and we were doing like a few Soundgarden songs, and one of them was Spoon Man,
great song.
And he just sang like intense, like it wasn't like, it was loud as hell in there, and we had like a couple of stacks each, 2 guitars, bass and drums, and giant Ludwig drums, SVT 8x10 cabinet, and we were just playing that drop D riff, and he was just like, Spoon Man, like yelling, and my hair felt like it was like zzz, like it was so loud, and he was laying into that vocal, like not with some sort of head voice, like he is quite a trained cat, or he was, like he when he was young, he would really, like on those early Soundgarden record, he was like a throaty singer, and then over the years he ended up getting some training, working with like Ron Anderson and different dudes just to be able to like endure a 3-hour set at that vocal range, and sometimes having the flu or something, like, so he could easily like do a 2.5-hour concert and be sick, like we were just blown away like how he can. So but he can also belt out notes too. But I remember at the audition he was just belting out those notes like if he was in his 20s, and yeah, it was just like felt like rock and roll, man. It was I was just hearing that voice, was a legend.
How did you get that gig?
Barry Squire.
Are you serious? Holy shit! Do you have a wing in your house named after?
I think I owe that guy a big commission.
Yeah,
Barry's the best though, man. He's not like technically he's not an agent.
Right.
He is like basically like gets hired by labels and managers to conduct auditions. So that's what he was doing. I don't know if it's any different now, but he didn't. He wasn't like. He'd bring in like.
Yeah, he was just like a rainmaker.
Yeah, sometimes he was like, do they want 5 guys? Do they want 50 guys to audition? And he would have the short list and the cattle call list. So for me, actually, I did these 10-day meditation retreats, and I was on one. These are like silent meditation retreats. It's called Vipassana meditation, and this was like, I guess,
is that the same
early
one? Have you read the book? I'm sure you've read the book by John Harris.
I didn't read that book.
10% Happier.
It's probably. I mean, it's
got to be
similar concept. Yeah. It's basically like Buddhist kind of concept.
Yeah, it's 10 days.
So I was going on these 10-day retreats every year, and I did it for like, a decade. So I was on one of these trips, and you can't have a phone. You don't listen to music. There's no reading or writing or yoga, it's 8 to 10 hours a day of meditation, and that's it for 10 days, But like, so you don't have contact with the outside world. So when I was driving back from the retreat,
can you break that? Like, you can voluntarily, you could just say, I'm out of here, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay. If you do, but then they highly like don't recommend that. Like, they collect your phone and all that stuff. Like, but if you really have to bail, and like if you're having some personal difficulty, you could always leave. It's a great camp, actually. It's non-denominational. Sure. They don't take fees, nothing. It's all donation. It's incredible. So anyway, so I was driving home. I was all like chilled out. I was 10% happier. And
you're 10% less exhausted. I would imagine that. Shit, 10 days of meditation.
And there was a message from Barry Squire. Hey, Yogi, it's Barry Squire. And are you interested in auditioning for Chris Cornell tomorrow morning? Like, he's been auditioning in the past, I don't know, few days, and he's like sort of come to sort of the end of his thing, and he really like. Whatever, like he hasn't found the people yet, So, and nobody was actually hired yet, and then I hooked up with Peter Thorne. Barry put us together at the audition, and we worked it out so that we were going to partner up and really collaborate on this audition. Like, you were going to take these parts, I'm going to take this part, you take that solo, I'm going to take the solo on this song. And it was like, very well crafted, because we didn't want to, honestly, we're just pros. Like, we don't really care who does what, but.
Oh, so you both got the gig together.
Yeah. And
that's so cool.
And we came in to audition, like, prepared. Like, we talked out everything on the phone. Who's going to, because, Audio Slave has like multiple guitar parts. There's like the whammy pedal part, and then there's this rhythm part. And, so we kind of like everything, just worked it out in advance so that we came in for the audition. It sounded like we were a team already, because he wanted two guitar players.
How did you do this in one day? He said it was tomorrow morning. Like,
totally. And I called him, and Barry told me the other guitar player is Peter Thorne. He's going to audition too. And then I think Peter called me, and we just kind of worked out our parts over the phone. And I had to learn 6 songs that night.
You knew each other though before that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We actually crossed paths on a lot of auditions before. Sometimes he'd get the gig, sometimes I get the gig. But yeah, so this was like our chance to sort of work together, and we just, kind of did it together, and and just talked out our parts, and then we went in and we crushed it as a unit. And I think he saw that we were, we weren't like these ego cats. We were just like, oh, he'll solo there, I solo there, and we worked out the thing, and it just sounded like the records, And he was, I guess, pretty blown away, and basically offered us the gig
right there.
So,
that's so cool, man.
Yeah, so it was pretty fun,
And you toured with him for how long? You said 3 years?
That was like 3 years. Just like about like two record cycles. Yeah.
Did you play on his records?
I did play on the record that the following record that he made, which was the one that Timbaland produced. Yeah.
Wow. And Pete stayed with him?
No, the whole thing ended. So Pete, I think Pete, it ended, and he just started doing solo acoustic stuff, and then did one show with Pete and a couple of musicians at the Roxy. It was like a benefit concert. So yeah, it wasn't like a full band gig or something like that.
Okay.
So it was like just one guitar, bass and drums, and Chris.
Okay. Wow.
But yeah, I mean, and then I played with Chris just a couple of years ago, just before he passed away. I played with him at this Lisinski Hall in Croatia, which was kind of a nice surprise. He called me, and I was in Europe, and he asked me to play with him on that gig. So that was a real treat.
That's cool. Are you working on anything now that you're excited about?
Yeah, actually, I haven't put out a record in a while. It's been a number of years, and I just finished a record. It's a blues rock based record, which it's basically some material that I had in my catalog that I always didn't really find a home for, and then I just decided to go full force and do like a funky blues rock kind of soulful record, and it's fun. It feels real natural. It works really good with the trio or quartet. But the guys that played on it were Mark Slutsky on drums and John Cornell on bass. And those guys, it's really groovy stuff and fun. Sort of like Hendrix meets Gary Clark Jr., Doyle Bramall. Those kind of those vibes. Like it's like guitar trio music.
You gonna be touring for that?
Well, we'll see what happens with it. It's I'm not super, like, I don't know. It's like I'm in my point in my career. It's like if I have to go get into a van or something, I'm not really motivated. Yeah. So it's like, so for me touring, I'm still kind of doing other like tours. So it's like, it's like, I mean, I'll do some local shows and some things, but I don't think I'll go slumming around in a van,
Do you have you have a working title for the album?
No, not yet. The first single will be out like, I think October is what we're shooting for.
Do you have a working title for that?
Yeah, but let's wait for my
hold
PR
it in suspense. All right. Yogi, what would be the top 3 experiences you've had musically?
Wow, that's cool. Well, damn. I mean, I would say like the Cornell experience in general was the best, like working professional music kind of thing like that I, like long-term gig, for obvious reasons, just great music, great hang, cool band members, still friends with all those guys. And so that's probably one. Second one, I got to play Robin Ford. I got to just sit in with him, and he's one of my heroes on guitar. And that was like a Coach House gig, like in the 2000s. Like it was couple buddies were playing bass and drums with him, and I had met Robin a couple times, but that was a kind of a treat because I've been like learning a lot of his stuff, you know, and just influenced by his playing.
Who was playing bass? Was it Brian Allen on bass?
I think it was Travis Carlton and Toss Panos.
Okay. Toss has been with him for a long time.
Yeah. And so that was really, really great for me. And what else was, I'm trying to think of top 3 experiences. I have an interesting little story. This is, you know, it wasn't a gig per se, but I was playing a gig. It was at the Avalon and in Hollywood, and it was kind of like an acid jazzy funk thing. This was probably like, you know, mid 2000s or something, and yeah, basically like sort of funky jazz music, and it was great players, and Prince was frequenting this club a lot, and he was coming out to see the various incarnations of the band play, like it was Sunday nights or something. And
this is your band?
No, this was like a
the house band.
House band, but like interchanging members, you know. So like sometimes I'd do it, sometimes other people would do it. And
sure.
This particular night, I was on the gig, and I remember having fun, and my friend Jeremy Razumna was playing keyboards, and he's like actually friend of mine from college days. Like and I knew he was like a huge Prince fan, but and we were jamming, and like we were halfway through the set, and then I started getting to one of my solos, and I had my eyes closed, and I was just, you know, playing, and it was like getting to like the pinnacle of my solo, and then I started hearing like cheers, and people were like, woo, you know, and I was like, wow, I'm really tearing this up, you know. I was like, and I was like, I was soloing, I was like, and then I was finishing my solo, and people were going crazy, and I opened my eyes, and Prince was sitting next to me on the keyboards.
Oh my God, how funny is that?
So they were actually cheering for Prince.
Yeah.
But Jeremy was a giant Prince fan, and I think he had like 2 boards. He had maybe, I don't know if he was playing with Prince or if Prince just took over the board or something. But I just remember being pretty blown away that he came and sat in like while I was taking my little solo.
Yeah, that's really cool, man.
But yeah, so, and actually that wasn't my first Prince experience, because back in it was during college, like early 90s. I was playing with my own trios in like little clubs, like sort of funky jazz trio things. And there was this club, I think it was called Black and Blue or something like that. And Prince was he was just showing up at this club. It was like a hip promoted club in Hollywood. And he took over, you know, my guitar and stuff at one point on that gig. You know, it wasn't like I played with him, but I just had one guitar and bass and drums, and then I think he kind of like
took it over,
jammed on my equipment, you know. But that was sort of the first time I sort of met Prince, you know. But yeah, big Prince fan. I mean, he's kind of iconic. So that's
cool, man. Yeah. Where'd you go to school? You mentioned college a couple of times.
I went to Cal State Northridge, and it was it was pretty great. I got to study with guys like Ted Green,
you
know, and Grant Geisman, and some classical teachers too, classical guitar teachers. So that was it was a great experience. I mean, the kind of guys that were floating around the school, and some of them didn't stay long because they were just, you know, just monsters. You know, I mean, like I don't know. You just, you know, you'd see like Gary Novak around there, or like you know, Greg Kirsten went there for like a hot minute, and you know, I actually went to high school with him. And you know, but I mean, the type of players. This Mike Elizondo was the bass player, and he's like VP of Warner Brothers or something like that. But so those were the kind of people that I got to learn from and jam with, and it was yeah, it was a great experience. Just coming from San Jose, where it was not really like a music town, and I moved to LA sort of when I was about 17 or something like that. So, and then started high school, like really learning about music. It was eye opening.
So you grew up in San Jose for the most part.
Yeah.
Is that north? Sorry, I'm not a California guy.
It's like sort of towards central, like northern California, a little bit south of San Francisco. So, but so that's college was great, man. I probably wouldn't have really gone if it wasn't for one of my mentors, and this bass player named Tommy Terry. He's no longer around, but he was like sort of a session bass player for R&B and blues bands. Played with Albert Collins and Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band and Sly Stone. Like he was kind of an unsung hero, but we were playing a lot of blues in the 90s and funk and stuff, and he was just like, man, you got to go to college, and just basically told me do it, because I was kind of gonna like maybe declare a business major or something kind of safe, and just sort of, because I didn't really expect to make it in music necessarily. I really loved playing music, but I didn't have this ambition to like tour the world, and it was just like I love playing guitar. And
that's funny, because that's what you wound up doing, is touring the world. That's really interesting.
Yeah, but I didn't know. I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, I just didn't really like expect it. Like I loved playing guitar, and I was passionate about music and learning music, but it wasn't so much about, like, I didn't really think of it as a career. But so I always tell young musicians, like, if they want to get into music, they should do it for the love of the music, not for any other reason.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's just, I mean, especially these days too, it's pretty difficult to earn a living as a musician. Record sales are down. They're still touring, but big pop artists are paying like half of what they used to pay.
Yeah. And
it's it's different. Everybody can record at home. There's not those big budgets for studios, but yeah, it was great to go to college and just get my ass kicked by all these awesome players.
Let's talk about gear for just a couple minutes. What's your go-to guitar now that you like to reach for and play, and would round out your top three? And has that changed over the years?
It changed, actually. I have it handy. I could just grab it.
Yeah, man. Let's see it. That's the cool thing about now that we're on video. You can actually see the players' guitars, which is really cool.
So this is a Relic.
Yeah.
It's
really pretty Strat.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and it's basically like I don't know what year, because I'm actually not too good at gear, if you haven't like noticed, but this is, I think, 67.
It's a reissue of a 67.
Relic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a custom shot, and it's just really beautiful. And I've been really kind of listening to a lot of Jeff Beck and Mike Landau lately, and
Mike Landau's amazing.
This guitar is like, it's got
why
nice
can't they?
on it.
Why can't they put? Okay, that has. I thought it had the. I thought it was a different kind of. They have a different style bar on some of the customs.
This is a Fishman. I changed the bridge.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a modification on it that a friend of mine did. I don't know. They do some sort of special routing to the where the screws are underneath the screws, so that the bridge is like more loose or something. I don't know exactly, but it makes it so it literally stays in tune. Like, it's not in tune now, but yeah, I mean. So
it's more like a Floyd almost.
Well, no, there's no locking in anything or like spursels. It's all stock, except they do this little mod. I think John Sir might do it as well. It's just
your third finger. Sorry, man. Your fingernail is different.
Oh,
is that like a
right? Well, this one.
On?
Well, I do have a fake nail on this one because the nail grows cracked, and it started doing that about 5 years ago. But then, yeah, I actually I had to put some sort of paint on it because I'm going on tour tomorrow actually, and I don't have enough time to replace the whole nail, so I just grabbed my wife's paint.
That's so funny, man.
I know you got to make do, like, but yeah, it needs to be replaced. But yeah, it looks pretty funny.
Yeah, I was like, "What's the secret? Give me like, is that a secret recipe thing or something you got going on there?" No, it's just.
No. I play some nylon and some stuff on this tour that I'm going on, so I was trained with classical, so I like to have the nails for the right hand. But
cool, man.
But so this guitar is great, and it also has the noiseless backplate system on it, and basically it's by Illich, Ilitch. He's a Hungarian cat, and he lives like in West Valley or something like that. But it's a cool system. You use your stock pickups, and you install this noiseless backplate. It's got some kind of wiring on the back here. You don't have to route into the guitar or anything, but you have to rewire the pickups, and you have to reverse the polarity of, I think, the center pickup. It's some technical stuff that I don't know. But basically, so positions like 1,
3, and 5.
And 5 are noiseless.
That's
like
really cool.
Humless. So like, and then these are
with the original stock pickups. That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, so this guitar is a little juiced up, and I just love it. Yeah. So that's and I pretty much play my Gibson 355 a lot. I love that. And then for touring, I've been using this this Moulin TS Classic.
Man, I'm hearing those more and more. They're out of Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great. That telly I have is pretty tricked out. It's got like 2 humbuckers and single coil in the middle, whammy, vibrato bar, piezo bridge. Like it's basically like a Swiss Army guitar kind of thing for like pop. You can go rock on it, you can go funky. So.
And the 355, that's with the Veritone, Variac.
No, it's a custom shop 3. Well, it basically looks like a 335, but it has binding, and it doesn't have the dot inlays like a 335, so it has the block sort of rectangular inlays.
Okay.
And it has like binding. It's just basically like a custom souped up 335.
Gotcha.
So, and that's a sick guitar. Yeah, I just love that. And then Les Pauls are, I have a couple Les Pauls, but yeah, those are my favorite axes. Well, this Strat right now has been the one. I noodle with this all the time.
What's your favorite guitar and favorite amp you've ever played? Whether you owned it or not.
Well, Pete Thorne loaned me this Comet once while we were playing with Cornell. I don't know what kind it was, but it had these crazy overtones and harmonics and sustain, and I thought that was insane. It was like playing through a Dumble or something like that. So I'm like, as far as what I own, I have a LDW. I think it's like a Lyle Workman, kind of like plexi style head.
Wait a minute. By who?
That's by what's his name? Frederick. Divided by 13. Yeah.
Oh, so there's a Lyle Workman model. I didn't know that.
This was also from 2006 or something like that. So I don't know. Like Frederick had this one, and it's basically like it's just his 50-watt plexi, and I don't know. It's probably the same one that he's marketing as his 50-watt plexi.
Gotcha.
And that's super amp.
He's such a great player, Lyle.
Yeah. And what else? And I have a great mid 70s Park head, which is, sort of what when Marshall lost his trademark, I guess, in the mid 70s, he created Park.
I didn't know that.
And then eventually, I guess, got it back or whatever. But he made those Park heads. Those are basically like Marshall's circuitries. And I love that thing. It's a monster. It's just great. Like, it has that saturation, that kind of thing where like the notes fight each other, that squashy saturation, like Cream kind of tone or Hendrix. Like, yeah.
That's cool.
It's only good played loud.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, these days I'm mostly just playing through like a Fender Vibrolux, and I have like a, just stuff that's like not blaring. If I'm playing some sort of a big rock thing, I would go back to those amps. But since I'm doing more pop and like blues and stuff like that, I don't really need that much air pushing. So
top Desert Island discs, top 3. Just for now, like knee-jerk reaction.
Okay, well, damn it. I mean, I've been wearing out I've been a really huge James Blake fan, which is, he's a modern artist, electronica, English artist. There's an album, Overgrown, that I love. As far as old classic stuff, Zeppelin 1, Sgt. Pepper, I don't know, Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. Like those are like 3 classic records from different genres that I love. But I also love R&B, and blues, like Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. I've kind of been pumping a lot of modern music too lately, like Childish Gambino and The Night Game and different things. I'm not kind of stuck in one genre, but I love a lot of sort of folky rock too, like Joni Mitchell, James Taylor, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Neil Young, all those kind of guys, like lyrically just kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are the kind of sounds that I'm, influenced by. Hendrix, of course, Zeppelin. My main guitar players, I would say, are Hendrix. For rock, like Hendrix, Jimmy Page, Angus Young. Those are the dudes for me.
It's funny when someone says to me like the rocking modern stuff. I mean, my knee-jerk reaction is like, "Oh, so you mean like after 1980?" I'm just kidding, sort of.
I listen to a lot of new stuff, and I'm always asking younger friends, to turn on this stuff. It's like I just have a pull, I can't listen to the same old stuff in my car. I'll get too.
I like a lot of new alternative stuff. I find myself listening to, like indie, not indie Americana, but just indie, independent, a lot of stoner psychedelic stuff, but a lot of alt music I like that's new. It's kind of cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Hey, what's the most important things you learned about yourself throughout your experience?
Well, I would say that, as far as career, related to music, it seems like you have to only, if you can afford it, just try to accept musical projects that you feel authentically invested in. And I actually learned that from Bryan Cranston. I was playing. He's that guy from Breaking Bad,
Yeah,
the writer,
I thought so.
director.
How did you learn that?
And I met him. I was playing with Rita Wilson, so I was lucky to play this gig with her in New York, along with the whole awesome band that she hired. But yeah, so
it's good to be Tom Hanks' wife, man. You just this guy, this guy, this guy, this woman, and this woman.
it was pretty scary. We were in this small room backstage.
Where was this?
It was
the club.
What's the name of the venue?
Not the Iridium.
It was like a small theater, kind of like a club, like a cabaret club.
55 Club? 55 Bar?
No. It's like a fancier club. I'm so bad with names.
Oh, no.
But anyways, so her friends came, and it was literally like, I'm going to freak you out right now because it freaks me out when I think of it. But her friends were like Robert De Niro, Sting, Bryan Cranston, Elvis Costello, Bruce Springsteen, Diane Krall. Like it was like literally like all these people, like just 20 people, and you know, and it was like,
So it was
you know,
like a private party for her buddies, sort of.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was just like that's who was backstage, and it was like I was pretty, you know, freaked out myself. But
Wait a minute,
you know,
did Barry Squire get you this gig?
no, no, yeah, no, but anyway, so but I got to when I was talking to Bryan Cranston, he was just like saying like he was talking about that movie, Little Miss Sunshine. And how that was sort of the beginning of his career, and how
I didn't know he was in that. I remember the other guy.
I think he was the dad, right?
Was he? I don't remember. I remember what's that guy's name? I can't think of an actor off the top of my head. He was the Little Miss Sunshine's dad. Or maybe I'm thinking of the wrong. Was that? Anyway, go ahead. Irrelevant.
So yeah, but he just basically just said like, you know, just tie your boat to a bigger ship or something like that. Like he kind of basically was just saying when he did that project, it wasn't for the money, but he read the script and loved it, and it was like it resonated with him, and of course it ended up getting some sort of nominee or awards or something like that, and so it kind of launched his career, and he basically just kind of like said, you know, you got to just do things because they feel right or they seem right for you, and you can't just do stuff because it's whatever, it's a good, you know, gig opportunity or something, you know, or good money. So but I learned that from him, and it seems, you know, I guess people can tell, you know, like if you're doing something for the wrong reasons, or
well, you can tell.
Yeah,
that's
of course.
More importantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough in this business because I'm sure there's, you know, a lot of guys like just want any gig, just, you know, and like you can't really afford to sort of just be like, no thanks, I don't want to play with that band because they're not hip, you know.
Yeah.
But there is a certain degree that you do need to sort of do what you're feeling, like what resonates with you, and you know what works, you know. So, but I think that's an important thing. Like, just you gotta like just love the music that you're doing and not think of it as any. There's no ulterior motive. Like, I want to be rich, I want to be famous, I want to travel the world. Like, those are not the rewards. The reward should be like playing the music.
Yeah.
So, and that's, you know, it's hard to find that level. I'm not at that level necessarily, but you know, that's what you want to strive for, you know. It's like, hopefully just pick projects or do your own things, or, you know, but yeah.
What's the most exciting experience you've had?
It's gonna sound, again, it's gonna sound,
man, just say it.
Okay, I think it was like hanging out with Mick Jagger in Buenos Aires.
That's pretty freaking exciting.
It was pretty crazy. Yeah, this was in 90.
Was that when you opened for the Stones?
Yeah. It was pretty great. I actually had a friend who was friends with Mick.
Okay, so take a step back. This is when you were with Alanis?
Oh, this is Meredith
Brooks.
No,
okay.
Alanis,
I'm sorry. You didn't get Alanis. This was Meredith.
Yeah,
I meant to say Meredith Brooks. I actually
played with her like last year. I played with Alanis.
I saw a photo of you because I had Jason Orm on the show, so I know Jason. So I said, "Oh, okay."
But
who's a really nice guy.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, anyways, but yeah, so I ended up, when I was with Meredith Brooks, we opened for the Stones in South America. It was going to be like, it was Buenos Aires and Rio in Brazil, you know, and basically it was, I had a friend who knew Mick, and we flew out together and ended up basically, she, you know, introduced me to Mick like the first night we arrived, and it was just a crazy week basically, and I remember like going to the meet and greet the next day, and Meredith was like, okay, you guys, I want y'all to be really cool, we're gonna go meet the Stones. We're going to go to their tent. You know, it was Bridges of Babylon tour, and
we're going to the Stones tent.
Yeah, you know, like we're going to go to the tent. They had this tent with like a full bar and like pool tables and
don't
just
get
jukebox.
sloppy fucking drunk.
It's like tapestries everywhere, and like, you know, and she was just really particular. You just want to make sure we're all behaved.
I wonder how she got chosen for that gig.
I don't know. She had a big single, man. I guess it was just. But so anyways, we got walked back there, and you know, kind of rolled in. I was the young guy in the band at that time, like the little green kid, you know. But like Mick was like, "Hey Yogi, what's up, mate?" And it was hilarious. But because we had met the night before already, and so
she must have been like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
That's
it was
funny.
It was funny. But anyways, so at the end of that week of the Buenos Aires run, because it was like 2-3 concerts or whatever, I ended up calling his suite because after the gig, and he invited me over. You know, we had friends over, and basically it was just a really fun night.
That's
you know,
wild. And Mick invited you over.
Hanging with Mick Jagger and him playing me his new single from the Stones album, Out of Control, and trying to get my feedback and looking at me in the eyes, and you know, and then he starts dancing, doing the Mick Jagger moves. And it was just like hilarious in his hotel room. It was me and him and a few people. And just, yeah, we ended up hanging till like 4 a.m. And yeah, for me,
that's
that
pretty
was
exciting, man.
That's about as rock and roll,
you
know, as it can get. I think for me, at least, I was like when we got off the phone, when I got the phone with him, and after he invited us to his suite for having a little after party, I remember
like, Mick, should I bring anything?
Yeah, exactly. I remember like me and Meredith's assistant, we were like jumping on the bed like schoolgirls, like on the hotel room, like, oh my God, like we're going to Mick's suite.
That's so funny, man.
But it was hilarious and fun. Yeah.
Wow.
But, yeah, I would say that's about like my most exciting moment.
That's pretty freaking exciting, dude. You have any non-musical superpowers, Yogi?
No, I don't think so.
Any hobbies outside of music?
I like just kind of like regular stuff, but I do a little bit of, I got like some kind of carny things that I like to do, like juggle. I like to do a little bit of magic, some cards, some coins. I like to ride a unicycle. So those are a little bit strange.
Yeah, those are a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
The off the beaten path, not really weird, just off the beaten path.
I thought that would be like a good side gig if I didn't do music, actually.
Is that how you met your wife by any chance? Because like I know guys that did magic, and most of them did it to pick up girls. Because it's like, you know, you're in a bar or something. It's like, oh my God, because it's a very harmless, non-threatening, extremely entertaining way to get attention.
That's actually not.
No.
But yeah, but no, I mean, I was never really that good at it where I can just like dazzle people. But I amused myself enough, you know. I even posted a few tricks like on my YouTube channel, which is like,
it's a fun little hobby, man. I could see it being
yeah,
really,
it's fun.
like,
it's just like,
yeah, I could see it. And you work, and there's a challenge to get it to work, to perfect the illusion and all that. So I could see you enjoying that.
It's fun stuff.
Yeah.
But aside of those little hobbies, I like to ride a bicycle. I like to hike. I like to do a little bit of yoga and exercise. We have a couple dogs.
You still meditate? 10 hours, 10 days a year once? No,
not at all.
I give you credit, man.
I fell off the map on that, and it was actually not because it's very productive and really great, but there's this state actually that I never really found any really deep nirvana, like or whatever. I never found enlightenment or anything like that, but I did find a lot of inner peace, and you know, did a lot of work, unpeeled the layers, you know, of misery, and you know, this was like about 12 years of 10-day silent retreats every year. So it's like there's a lot of work, and then
That's
meditating, kind of on a daily basis in between those retreats.
Sure.
But I noticed that in a lot of things, like with the Buddhist thing, it's about the middle path, right? Like you don't, and there's also sort of different. You have to take you have these precepts where like you're not supposed to eat meat and you're not supposed to have sexual misconduct and
that's out. I'll tell you right now.
Whatever. Like it's really like there's like if you really want to follow the path, there's a lot of things. Like no.
Define misconduct.
Masturbation. Could be as easy. It could be anything. Anything that's sort of too worldly. But I just found, but yeah, so there's that. There's the precepts, of course, which most things are fine, but it's like I like to eat a little bit of meat. I'm not like I don't eat a lot of meat, but it's like so anyways, there's things that I don't necessarily feel like following to the T, but also when you do a lot of this meditation, you can kind of get into this sort of like zombie zone, where like it's almost like putting a high pass filter and a low pass filter on your life, just rounding the shit off so that you're almost just like walking this middle path and that's great.
Well, isn't there a whole thing where you shouldn't have, too many highs, you shouldn't have too many lows, like that's the whole
that's this sort of thing that I experienced a little bit, and I still like now that I haven't meditated for a few years, I'm really experiencing like this humanity of like really experiencing some highs and also some lows and some anger and like really like just really like sinking my teeth into my life a bit. So I'm not as like oh, somebody just, if like somebody hit my car or something, I'd be like, okay, no problem, let's just exchange, like it's like, or else like I got a really great gig. That's great,
Yeah, you want to have emotional.
It's like I kind of started feeling a little bit too just rounded, like no edge to my life, and and it's like, I kind of like faded off of it a bit, but I do know that my patience is not as strong, now that, so like, and I have a 9-year-old daughter, so.
Oh, like, good. Let me tell you, you haven't hit it yet, man. You got 2 years, maybe 4 if you're lucky. The meaning of the word patience is going to take on a whole new level for you, man.
I'm probably going to start meditating again.
Oh, you need more than meditation. You need like alcohol, like
right.
Weed, whatever.
That's another precept, actually. No substances.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking no substances. Really? I'm in the rock and roll business, man.
Yeah. But I mean,
yeah. But it's like, I mean, I don't really recommend substances to people, but I'm also like, but I don't say like don't ever do it, because ever, but
I think it's intention. If you sit and have a drink with a friend or your spouse or your partner or whatever in a social setting, that's really enjoyable. If you sit and have a drink, 3 times a day because you're stressed out or all day long, that's your intention is different,
But that's also a really great thing about meditation, like which, this whole Buddhist mid-path thing is it teaches you to be equanimous with your misery or with your ecstatic feelings. Like, so like, like you can't become addicted. Like after doing like a 10-day retreat, most people who like have addictions come out of the retreats and don't have any cravings for that, like whether it's cigarettes or alcohol, like it's pretty amazing. So I do recommend that stuff for people that have, some addictive personalities or have, any, some kind of, imbalances, because it really puts you in that middle zone, so, but if you're already like satisfied with how everything's going in your life, like it's not probably going to change too much for you, but yeah, so that's that whole thing,
It's interesting. I took this program. It was more about it was about meditation, but it was more about visualization. And just using meditation, man, it was kind of funny. He recommends just doing 90 seconds of meditation a few times a day, right? And I don't do it every day. I should, but I could handle that. No, sometimes I go longer, like 5 minutes. I'm not claiming I'm not a big meditator. I'm not like trying to hold myself out of that by any stretch of the imagination. But I do find after I do that, it's kind of like restarting your computer. It's like a clean reboot, you know, and I like that. And it's good. Like, you know, if you're having a hard day or something, it does kind of like what you said, you know, with addiction, if you do it for 10 days. The other thing that really helps for addiction is when you get thrown in jail. I know a lot of guys have gone down. That also makes them stop using.
I bet. Oh, yeah.
A lot of cats I've met over my lifetime. That also is just as effective, different consequences. But I think there's good things about meditation. I find that it does allow me to, but there's a lot of work I've put in on top of it to not react.
Right.
To just take a breath and like observe and just understand that, you know what, man, me reacting is not going to fix this, is not going to change this. In fact, it's probably going to make it incrementally worse. You know, and to keep me out of my own head from, you know, when, you know, the little voice on this shoulder versus the little voice on that shoulder, you know, it has allowed me to, not just that, just working on this shit in general has allowed me to say, you know what, let me get out of my head and just like take a breath and screw these guys talking, let them pick a pause, you know, and it allows me to get a little more control over my own, you know, what do I want to think about? How do I want to feel about this instead of like, you know, you get reactive, which is never, for me, it never seems like a good thing, you know. So
yeah,
I could
absolutely.
I could see the appeal of that.
The whole the big part of Vipassana meditation is changing your response from reaction to becoming a person of action. You know, so it's totally like basically you take a breath. So you get a phone call, you know, whether it's like bad news or good news, without just going like, holy shit, you know, like just take a pause, take a breath, you know, and then you can be a person of action and do a mindful, you know, action, you know, rather than something that could hurt the situation or just like some sort of knee-jerk reaction. But yeah, that's true. That's amazing that you're finding that you're getting those results.
Well, it's just because I wanted to, because I said, you know, I reached a point about, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago where I said, I realized that I'm responsible for X amount of stress in my life. You know, there's certain things that happen to all of us that you can't control, but there's certain things that happen to you that your reaction to it will incrementally increase the stress. And I said, you know, I'm going to opt out of that shit because there's enough stuff I can't control, but I can't control me and how I'm reacting to stuff. So I wanted to opt out of stress as I got older, you know, because I just found it was really, you know, who the hell wants stress, you know? So
absolutely, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and my life is so much better, incrementally better because of that, because it's helped me in other areas where I've opted out of nonsense. You know, it's like hitting the delete key. If you get a bad email, it's like, okay, delete, not my problem. How you feel, you know.
Speaking of the reboot that you said, I recently did an iboga ceremony.
What is that?
It's an African root tree, sort of like you might have heard of ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Something else like, well, this is from Africa, and it's a root that basically gets grinded up, and and I did it I just did it like a few months ago. It was in Tuscany in the mountains at some monastery with a couple of friends, and it was a ceremony, and it was like 7 days long.
Oh, down. You're like when you commit, man. You're not like I got 2 hours, man. You're like, right. Yeah, man. Let's.
No,
I'm booked for the week. Shut me down.
It was like microdosing for a few days, then a flood dose, then like recovery for a few days. Like it was, but
what was the high like, or the?
Actually, it was completely. That didn't resonate with me. I have to say, like basically you get really nauseous. I didn't throw up, but person that was doing it was throwing up most of the night. It's like being completely wasted for like 12, 13 hours, like where you have to have eye patches. You're supposed to like basically go in, like where like, just cover your eyes and just sort of lay there and sort of get, receive wisdom from like the iboga, and like, I actually didn't get wisdom, or I didn't get, and I went in with intention. I really did but the after effects, I have to say, I felt rebooted for like a couple weeks, like literally
physically,
my thoughts,
physiologically. I mean,
yeah, my mind was like very clear, like I wasn't concerned about, not that I'm like one of those people that puts in calendar reminders on my phone because I can't really remember everything, all the time.
How can anybody?
I'm just, it's like, even if it's just like, whatever, like, I mean, like, my daughter gets home from school late on Wednesdays, something's going to pop up, on my phone, because I'm not, it's like, I don't want to be like keeping all these things in my head. So
I know. It's so much easier. Who the hell wants to do that?
Yeah. But I noticed that I was completely like reset after the retreat for like a couple of weeks. I was like not having extraneous thoughts. And I really felt like pretty free-minded. So, and yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd ever do it again but sometimes they say like, well, the iboga, that's what the iboga wanted for you. You had to be sick and you had to feel terrible, and like maybe the second time you do it, maybe you'll get insight, or maybe you'll get wisdom. So but for me, it was like, I really felt bad. And for 3 days after that, I couldn't hardly get out of bed. Like I was like nauseous, still. I mean, I was seeing trails for like 3 days. Like it was, I was just basically like, I did a big dose. I did like 17 grams, which is a big flood dose. But yeah, it was intense. So, so I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but it's that apparently is like the top drug for like getting junkies off of heroin. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, it's like it's some 95% like success rate on like and I could see how it really like cleans your slate, and it's like literally like a factory reset. Like and that's I was definitely feeling like kind of really free, after that. I didn't have the insights, like I said, like I was hoping to, for some magical, like,
Man, aren't we all? I'm like just give me like a, some insight to something that you don't have now. Isn't that what, like, I was just telling my wife yesterday, I had a question. Man, I wish I was somebody to ask on this.
Like I've heard, and actually, if you type in like iboga insights and stuff like that, they have people who talk about their experiences, and it's, on YouTube, and they talk about like being able to like regress to like the Big Bang, and they really see like the whole meaning of life and like the connection of the universe. I mean, like, you can kind of get that just by doing acid, but
the cards don't lie.
but I mean, but on a deeper level, like with wisdom and insight, like people have these pretty intense situations, and I didn't get that. So whatever. I'm not ready for that.
Or it wasn't, or it's I know I'm
just not involved. I'm not involved enough for that.
Yeah.
Yet.
I think don't feel bad about that, Yogi. I think you're good, man. It's just like, and the other thing is too, I think, man, we often all looking for answers. Sometimes it's just no freaking answers.
Right.
I mean like
I'm fascinated. I'm really fascinated by where we came from as human beings. I somehow don't think we're indigenous to this planet.
Really interesting.
I don't know. It's like, it's just, we're like these creatures that don't live in harmony with the planet.
Yeah.
Naturally, we have all these diseases and back problems, and it's almost like we weren't meant to be here. I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. But it just seems like there was some sort of cross-pollination that happened, a couple 100,000 years ago or something. And that's, I don't know. I know that's some conspiracy type stuff, but
everybody's
I don't know.
Got some thoughts, man.
I mean, it's just when we look at animals and how they interact with the planet and
man,
just
it's so
circle
sad.
life. And then we look at us and like we haven't been here that long, but we're just
done a lot of damage.
The planet's gonna go on fine. It's just we're not gonna make it.
Yeah. I'm a big animal guy. I love animals, man. I hate to see things like, it's good that you're open-minded to doing all that stuff. I don't know that I'd be willing to do I wouldn't. 7 days or a commitment like that. It's huge, man. I give you credit for that, man.
It's kind of like the minimum amount for that particular ceremony, but that's the only. I've never done ayahuasca, and there's apparently like different ones, that people told me about. But I just went for that. The opportunity was, presented itself, and I planned it like a couple months in advance. And you have to kind of fast for, not fast, but like change your diet for like a few weeks leading up to it, and I really tried to, do everything as prescribed.
Are you more of a rule follower or a rule breaker?
Just no rules, man.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely. I try to live pretty freely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a professional when it comes to those kind of things, so I'm a responsible guy.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit. I've got a little OCD with.
Oh man,
stuff.
I saw your stuff that you sent me. I was like, I told my wife, I was like, "Hey, check this out."
Like stuff has to be in its right place.
Yeah.
Just like Radiohead said, everything in its right place. But
and I'm sure you know this. OCD is an anxiety response. It's a response to anxiety.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. OCD is not OCD is a nervous response to anxiety. So people who have OCD, it's their anxiety coming out. That's their response. Yeah, it's a response to anxiety. Yeah,
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just I'm a busybody around the house. I have to like if my daughter leaves a glass, like that's then I'll just go and wash it.
Yeah.
I'm that weirdo.
Yeah. No, a lot of people have OCD. It's extremely common.
I don't do magical thinking. I have a friend who used to. It's a strange thing, but it's called magical thinking. It's like it's kind of like what sports people do. Like before a game, they wear the same shorts that they wore like at the last game, or like or the same tennis shoes, or like you have to do a circle 3 times and say something before you do something else.
That, like OCD, like that. Yeah.
That's like or you have to wash your hands like exactly 10 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Funny, when I was a little kid, I had.
But yeah, magical thinking. It's like I'm gonna walk down the street, but I have to walk on the left side of all the cracks or something like that's.
Oh
that's
my God,
level,
that's got to be like so overwhelming. I would hate to have something like that. That's got to be really difficult.
I mean, I know about it, but thankfully, like it hasn't consumed me that far.
Yeah, man, that's pretty severe. Wow. Hey, one last question, Yogi. And that was all pretty interesting. I do give you credit for being open-minded. I'd be like, all right, man, you got 45 minutes. You're like, oh, man, let's take 7 days. That's really cool. Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of that change has been intentional and how much is just a part of aging?
Well, that's kind of coming back to like post-meditation years, I think. Also, like my personality is I'm really trying to live life fully now as I'm, sort of at my midlife.
Sure.
And
we hope.
And yeah, and it's like I'm really like, I don't know. I just feel like I want to experience everything. I don't want to have too many constraints. I want to travel. I want to live a life that's way more leisure and less about like chasing the dollar and chasing the gig and all that kind of thing. It's like I'm still, passionate about making music. I want to make records and all that, but it's it's about family and it's about spending time with friends and people that I love and yeah, that's cool. Totally what my life's about now.
You have the one daughter?
Yeah, one daughter. Yeah, She's 9. She's like started playing violin.
Oh, that's really
like
nice. That's really
6
cool.
months ago. My wife played it in school too, so she can actually teach her and help her. But she's been taking classes like a couple times a week, and it could be like a screeching cat once in a while.
No, but it's cool that your kid's doing something creative, and just it's a nice thing.
She's got good ears. Like she can actually, she knows how to slide into the note, and it's. But yeah, it's great.
That's nice, man. Hey, listen, thank you. First of all, thanks for everything, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being so open and sharing all this cool stuff. A very interesting guy. All right, so let me tell people where to find you. It's Yogi Lonich. You can find Yogi online at yogimusic.com. And he's got a single coming out in the fall, a full album early next year. And you can find Yogi on Instagram and Twitter at Yogi Music, and on Facebook at Yogi Lonich. Again, his last name is Lonich. And Yogi also gives Skype lessons. So if you're interested and you like his playing and you think he can help you out, hit him up through either social media, or you have a contact form at yogimusic.com.
Sure.
Yeah, and he'll hit you up, and he'll get back with you. Any final words of wisdom, man?
I don't got anything wise. No, just if you love music, play it for the love of music, man.
Very cool. All righty, man. Thank you, Yogi. I appreciate it. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this interview, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Thanks again to Yogi Lonich. We appreciate your time. Support Yogi and check him out at yogimusic.com. And make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com, sign up to get on our newsletter list so you and I can connect. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out.
Later, guys.